Hi! So today's adventure is a walk down memory lane, and I'm supposed to talk about a childhood memory. So I'm going to talk about one night that I had with my dad. My mother and sister were on vacation somewhere, and my father and I were alone, and I was asleep, and so my dog bit my nose and woke me up. And I know y'all didn't know me when we had Spike, but Spike is a Shih Tzu, and a fairly laid back one at that. And so for him to bite my nose was kind of weird. So I woke up and I looked around, and the first thing I noticed was the silence, because I had fallen asleep with the radio on. I always fall asleep with the radio on, and it was silent. So I looked out the window, and the sky was this pea green color with flashing lights, and I was like, oh man, oh man. And because I have the right priorities, I took the dogs and threw them in the basement before running upstairs to get my father. My father decided that it was a good time to go to the bathroom, which fine, you just woke up, you have to pee. But then he decided it was a good time to brush his teeth, which I still don't understand. So anyway, my father was brushing his teeth, and I was sitting on the top steps of my house yelling for him to come on, when all of the windows blew out of the house. I guess we were fortunate that that's all that happened, but it was really scary at the time. And so after the tornado went through, we went down to the basement for a few minutes, calmed down the dogs a little bit, and then Dad was like, well, I think the worst is over. Let's go outside and see what kind of damage was done. And so we used to have a lot of trees in our yard, and they had all fallen down. One of them had spun, like they were all falling down this way. One of them had spun 180 degrees and fell down this way, which was really lucky because it would have knocked over our fence and into our neighbor's house, and instead it ended right by the edge of our house, so it didn't do any damage. So we got really lucky with that, I guess, and even our cars were okay. So yeah, the next day I spent walking around the neighborhood, and a lot of people weren't as lucky as we were. There was a lot of damage to houses. One of my friends, Stephanie, had to leave her house for a while because it was twisted off of the foundation. So we ended up with their 2 dogs plus our 2 dogs for quite a while, like almost a year, I think, while they rebuilt their house. And so the reason I bring up this memory is because it's one of the things, like we were recently asked at Temple what made us sure that God existed, and this, like, just the awesome power of this, even though it was terrible and destructive. Like, that's one of my things that reminds me of God. And also just because it's a fun story, I think. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this walk down memory lane. I'll see you all tomorrow.